Hello, welcome everyone to our next series of webinar on Decoding BRSR, a comprehensive understanding on BRSR Series 2. It's a Series 2 in which we are just covering the general recap of Series 1 and the principle-wise disclosures from 1 to 5. We would like to welcome our Central Council member, CA Siripriya Kumarji. She is the chairperson of the Sustainability Reporting Standards Board, and CA Dr. Anuj Goyalji. He is the vice chairman of Sustainability Reporting Standards Board. We would like to welcome our faculty of today, CA Moni Bajajji, and our event enablers for today, CA Ayushman Jajodia ji, chairman of Bilaspur branch, and CA Pankaj Jajodia ji, Secretary Bilaspur branch of CIRC of ICI. We would like to welcome you all, and now we would like to request CA Ayushman Jajodia ji to welcome our chairperson. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to welcome all the delegates of this webinar, and it gives me immense pleasure to introduce before you all the chairperson of Sustainability Reporting Standards Board, CA Shripriya Kumar ma'am. Shripriya ma'am is the chairperson of Sustainability Reporting Standard Boards and the director of the Institute of Social Auditors of India. She also serves as the vice chair of Corporate Law and Corporate Governance Committee and the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee of ICAI. Over the last few years, she has served on various committees and boards of ICAI, making noteworthy contributions to the Corporate Law Committee, the Expert Advisory Committee, and the Financial Review and Reporting Board. She is a registered insolvency practitioner and leads the corporate restructuring and insolvency practice. She was part of the working group constituted by the MCA for drafting the rules and regulations of the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Code. Additionally, she is a regular faculty member in training programs of ICAI and other accredited institutions, having delivered over 300 lectures. We are very glad to have you with us, ma'am, and most welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. On behalf of the Vice Chairperson, say Anuj Goyalji, and the Secretary Shweta Goyal and Manish, who's here, and on behalf of the entire Sustainability Reporting Standards Board of ICAI, I take great pleasure in extending a very warm and a very hearty welcome to all of you to this series on decoding BRSR. My thanks are also in order to the Jajodias from Bilaspur, Anshuman Jajodia ji and Pankaj Jajodia ji, for being the event enablers today. So if I were to sort of do a timeline on how the world has moved in the corporate space and the governance space, phase one was at the time of Companies Act 1956 and thereabouts, where it was you just need to sell and sell more and make more profits. Didn't matter what you sell, didn't matter how you sold it. And slowly there was a bit of activism that was building. And then so the boardrooms were dominated by sales discussions. Then we came to a phase two, which was the collapse of the Enron and the global changes, the Fannie Mae and the Freddie Mac and Enron and the big accounting collapses. And suddenly the whole debate changed to corporate governance. So all of us were talking corporate governance in all forms. We had committees set up, changes made to laws that primarily wanted to make the boards and the KMPs more accountable on how they did the business. And then there's an interim period where it's still continuing. It was dominated by digital transformation. Everybody said we have to go digital. We had intelligence, we had some amount of human intelligence, and then we have a lot of artificial intelligence now. But clearly, the theme that's emerging for the future is sustainability. It's planet, profits, and prosperity that matter. And today, planet seems to have taken a much larger center stage than profits and prosperity. So, how did India actually move? So, India in 2017 brought in a voluntary structure called integrated reporting. So it still continues to be voluntary. So I think about 150 companies in India present integrated reports on how they use various capitals: human capital, intellectual capital, natural capital, financial capital. How do they use these 7 or 6 to 7 types of capital? How do they use it into the process, and what do they deliver to a stakeholder? So today, one key stakeholder has become the earth itself. So businesses are now called upon to tell, what have you done to the earth? How have you made this a better place? How will you leave a better earth, or at least a stabler earth for your children than what you inherit? So world over, there are different reporting frameworks. So for example, the ISSB talks about something called as the S1 and S2 standards for reporting. The S1 and S2 standards, S1 is the general reporting on climate sustainability, and S2 is the climate aspect. And they built it on 4 pillars. Pillars of governance. What are your governance mechanisms to ensure ESG? What's your strategy? What's your risk assessment, and what's your metrics? Now, India chose a slightly different path for sustainability reporting, and that was the advent of BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting. So, what did the government do? They said for the top 1,000 listed companies, you have to present something called as BRSR, and based on the BRSR, a certain subset called as the BRSR core. So what's BRSR? BRSR is a nice checklist. You got about 150 points divided into 3 sections: general indicators, governance and leadership indicators, and the last is principle-wise indicators. Now, obviously, when you put a reporting framework, you need to have some benchmark, right? Today, for example, in a CA exam, you pass if you've done 50 and average, aggregate. There has to be a benchmark. So India adopted something called as the NGBRC as the benchmark, which is the National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. They said we'll take 9 principles. And the last segment of the BRSR, the first is general, second is leadership and governance and strategy and all that. And the third, they said principle wise against NGBRC, tell me what you as an entity are doing. So it's these principle wise indicators that we have come to today. Now, if you see section 2 of the BRSR also, we'll talk about policies on all these 9 principles. So, and very often we tend to think of risks controls and all that in silos. It's not. I think it's a very agnostic kind of principle. So, for example, you have controlled design and operating effectiveness. That's exactly what BRSR wants you to demonstrate in a reporting format. So, for my 9 principles of NGBRC, what do you have as a controlled design? I mean, are you there? Do you have a policy? Today, people keep talking about diversity. Today, do you have a diversity policy? The government seems to have a diversity policy, right? By a 1/3 act of reservation, by having women directors in certain categories of companies, by mandating women independent directors on boards of listed companies. So they've tried to establish a controlled design. And then you're supposed to comply and you come to the operating effectiveness. So obviously we had a choice in the board to run programs. We said, let's make these programs cohesive so that we have a guided series. Now, another thing that you may ask me, now is all this sustainability only for the big boys, the big players, the big listed companies? No. Of course, you will be guided through these sessions. There's a certain principle 6, which is the toughest principle. It's the principle that talks about the environmental impact, the impact of carbon emissions, the impact of water consumption. Now, in all this, your BRSR also is going to slowly deepen itself to something called as scope 3 reporting. So broadly, what do they say? There are 7 major gases, which are known as the greenhouse gases, which pollute the atmosphere. You have to measure them in terms of its carbon equivalent. And scope 1 is what the entity emits. So for example, I'm into a business of copper smelting. So what is the amount of carbon I release by my own action, by running my own furnace, by my own production processes? Scope 2, I buy electricity. then am I not depleting the earth? I am, right? Because it takes some amount of fossil fuel burning or something by which you generate a unit of electricity that also emits carbon. That's scope 2. Scope 3 is the biggest one. Scope 3 is all the emissions that come from the value chain of an entity. So what's a value chain? It could be your supplier or your customer. So it's the entire, or your transporter, whomever you're using. So there are 15 items which get included in scope 3. Now, this is the part where I think CAs can play a major role. Even if you're operating in the SME space, the small and medium enterprises space, all of them will at some point in time be supplier to somebody or exporter to somebody. So very soon, this ESG will also have to downstream to MSMEs. What do they track? What do they measure? What do they report? Now, why does an MSME have to be aware? Now, let's look at a big corporate house. Will I go buy materials from a supplier who's more or less ESG aware and compliant? Or will I go and take any other supplier who's not telling me what his emissions are? So, obviously, in a matter of choice, the bigger manufacturers, the OEMs, as you may, they will all pick suppliers who come with a far more orientation to ESG. Secondly, if your client is an exporter, it's going to catch up very fast. America is a little far, but Europe has really become big in the sustainability dialogue. In fact, Europe is saying we are going to come with something called as a carbon border adjustment mechanism, which is for a select set of industries that they say, look, Europe wants to be net zero very quickly. So what will I want to do? I have to invest heavily. When I invest heavily, the products that I make become more expensive. So they will propose a border adjustment mechanism in the form of a tariff. So your client could be an exporter. He could be in those sectors which come on the glide path. It will be important for you to advise them. Now, as this transformation goes, there will also be a need for green finance. So your client could become more eligible for green finance by embracing these practices. So there's a risk of losing an Indian market, a risk of losing a foreign market. There's an opportunity in an Indian market. There's an opportunity in a foreign market. And there's an opportunity in being able to access green finance. So it's in this context that this whole series that we are trying to present to you becomes very important. Welcome to CA Moni Bajaj, who's actually an ESG consultant. I actually happened to look at her LinkedIn, and I was very delighted to see that there's this new brand of chartered accountants who have decided to specialize in emerging themes. And kudos to you, and thank you once again for this opportunity. And welcome to all the 800 or odd participants who are registered for this webinar, and I'm sure we're going to grow. Thank you very much, and my appreciation to the office for having put this program together. To Manisha and to Shweta. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thank you for setting the context for the today's webinar. Now, moving on further, we just request CA Pankaj Zodia ji, Secretary, Bilaspur branch, to introduce our Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all of you. It's a matter of great pride to introduce CA Moni Bajaj. CA Moni Bajaj is a highly skilled chartered accountant.
Sorry to interrupt you. You have to give the introduction to CA Anuj Goyal, sir.
I'm sorry, I think that is with Anshuman, sir.
No problem, sir. I request CA Anshuman, sir, to just introduce our Vice Chairman, sir.
Thank you very much, Shweta ji. And it's always a pleasure to talk about CA Dr. Anuj Goyal, sir. CA Dr. Anuj Goyal, sir, is a Central Council member of ICAI and the Vice Chairperson of Sustainability Reporting Standards Board. He also serves as the Chairman of the Ethical Standards Board, the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee, and the Publication and CDS Directorate. He has also served as the Chairman of the Ghaziabad chapter of ICSI and ICMA. With an extraordinary tenure of 17 years in the Central Council, 3 years in the Regional Council, and 6 years in the branch, including Chairman of CIRC and various ICAI central committees, member of the editorial board, and more, He has made significant contributions to the profession. With vast experience exceeding 30 years and a wealth of knowledge, his contributions in the field of research and development have always been remarkable. He is a well known speaker on various topics and also serves as a visiting faculty member at various institutions. Additionally, he has worked as editor in chief and editor of various publications of professional interest. We are very happy and delighted to have you with us, sir, and the mic is all yours.
Thank you very much, CA Ansuman Jajodia, sir, our Honorable WISC Chairman of Bilaspur branch, very, very prominent and the best branch of the central region as well as the best branch of the nation. And we are, of course, having the presence of another Jajodia, CA Pankaj Jajodia, sir, our Honorable Secretary of Bilaspur branch. We are going to have the national conference very soon at Bilaspur. We are having the presence of our Honorable Chairperson, dynamic leader of the profession from southern part of the country, from Chennai, C. S. Priya Kumar ma'am, the way she is leading this very, very important SRSB. I think something really great. I'm really fortunate that we are together in the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee also. And in the both the committees, she is really putting her best to see that how we can really do something very, very concrete, not only for the profession, but also for the society and for the nation also. And of course, we are having very, very prominent resource person, CA Muni Bajaj ma'am. And we are having Honorable Secretary of SRSB, CA Sweta Goel ma'am. And of course, CA Manish Goel ji, our senior officer of the SRSB. And today we are having, I think, thousands of delegates from each and every part of the country, outside country also. So very, very good afternoon to all of you. Very, very important webinar on decoding BRSR, a comprehensive understanding on BRSR. And this is, in this series, we are having this second webinar. And I'm quite confident that this webinar on decoding BRSR, a comprehensive understanding on BRSR, will be very, very fruitful to all of us. And we will be in a position to enrich our knowledge in this very, very important area, not only for the profession, but also for the nation and also for the mankind, for the humanity. And I'm quite confident that we will be in a position to contribute in the best possible manner as per the expectations of the society and as per the expectations of the mankind. And friends, we are very well aware that in today's world, it's very, very crucial for businesses to make sustainability a natural part of everything they do. We are feeling, we are witnessing the heat wave in this part of the country. And I think one of the most important reason is that we are not taking proper care of the mother nature. Very recently, we have celebrated the Environment Day. I think our committee BRSR is trying its level best to see that how we can make this universe a better place to live for our future generations to come. Friends, one effective way for companies to communicate their progress on environmental, social, and governance issues is through sustainability reporting. And the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report, BRSR, is a key framework that helps businesses to do this. By using BRSR, companies can be more transparent, build trust with their stakeholders, and uncover new opportunities for innovation and success. In this first session of this webinar series, Basics of Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting was covered. And now, today in this second session, Muni Bajaj ma'am will explore the BRSR reporting in more detail. This session will guide you on our journey toward a more sustainable future. So I once again welcome our honorable esteemed speaker, CA Muni Bajaj ma'am, and our event enablers, very, very prominent leaders of the profession, Ansuman Jajodia ji, our honorable vice chairman of Bilaspur branch, Pankaj Jajodia ji, honorable secretary of the Bilaspur branch. And of course, I am quite confident that with the dedication to sustainability of all of you, I'm really very excited about the discussion and insights we will share during this webinar. And I am really grateful to Sri Priya ma'am for being very active, Sweta Goyal ji and Manish Goyal ji for contributing in a great way to really do something very concrete for the profession, for the nation, for the entire universe and the mankind. Thank you very much, friends.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. We are obliged to have your words with us. So we thank you so much for this platform. Thank you, sir. Now we would like to welcome Pankaj Jojodia ji to introduce our today's speakers. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, very good afternoon to all of you. It's a matter of great pride to introduce a personality like CA Moni Bajaj before us. CA Moni Bajaj is a highly skilled chartered accountant and founder of Sustenic Global Private Limited, a leading consultancy firm specializing in environmental, social, and governance practice. With a robust background of finance, audit, and taxation, Ms. Moni also has expertise in driving sustainable growth within the business of all sizes. At Sustenic Global, she leads a team of dedicated professionals who excel in providing comprehensive ESG consulting services, including assurance, CSR strategy development, various support services to NGOs, startups advisory, and carbon accounting and trading solutions. Over the past 2 years, she has had the privilege of advising one of the top two listed companies on their sustainability report preparation, delivering tailored strategies that align with their business objective and values. Additionally, she has played a pivot role in guiding NGOs through complex community projects, ensuring effective fund utilizations and measurable impact. Her unwavering commitment to the empowering organizations to achieve the financial success while promoting environmental social sustainability drives her mission and inspire her team to continually strive for excellence. I hope her session today will be of highly helpful for the profession at all. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind introduction, and thank you to the all SRSB team for giving me this opportunity. I hope I will meet your expectations today. So I will be sharing my screen now, and let's start the session. So yeah, today we will be covering the BRSR section C majorly, principle 1 to 5, and also will be there will be a recap for the previous session. So first of all, what is BRSR? So BRSR in March 2021, SEBI introduced this BRSR, and it replaced BRR, that was Business Responsibility Report, and that was based on NGRBC of MCA. And this report was mandatory from financial year 2023 for the top 1,000 listed companies by market cap. And as we all know that BRSR has 9 principles, and which were provided by NGRBC. So why we shifted from BRR to BRSR? Because of the following reasons: that it increased the transparency because it has more disclosures in it, and it is complying with the global standards. It enhances the ESG reporting, and it also meets the global competence, and it considers the stakeholder expectations, which leads to investor confidence, and also it engage and identify the stakeholders engagement. So this is the structure of BRSR. BRSR basically contains 145 questions. 14 questions are identified as BRSR core, which are for top 150 companies. And we can see that BRSR is divided into total 3 parts: section A, B, C. A is general disclosures, B is management and process disclosure, C is principal wise performance disclosure. And here we can see that there are essential disclosures and leadership disclosures. Essential disclosures are the ones which are mandatory to be disclosed, and leaderships are the ones which are voluntary. That means you, if you want to disclose it, you can disclose it. If an entity doesn't want to disclose it, they can avoid disclosing that. But for the essential indicators, if it is not applicable, because BRSR is not a industry specific report, ESG report. It is a standard for all, and if it is not applicable, just you have to say that it is not applicable, and you can also give reason for not applicability. In principle, in section A, there are 26 disclosures which are essential. Every entity have to disclose it. Section B contains 12 disclosures which are also essential. Every entity has to disclose it. Every means the entities which are in top 1000 listed entities, because others also can voluntarily opt for BRSR framework and can report on BRSR. Section C has 9 principles. First principle deals with integrity, ethics, transparency, and accountability. So it has total 11 questions. 9 are essential and 2 are leadership. And in these 2 questions are specifically for BRSR core. Principle 2 deals with the goods and services which an entity provides. It has total 9 questions. 4 are essential and 5 are voluntary. And then principle 3 covers employees, not only of the entity, it covers the employees' well-being of the value chain partners also. So it has total 21 questions. 15 are essential, 6 are leadership, means voluntary. Principle 4 is talks about the interest of stakeholders. It has 5 questions. And then principle 5 is human rights. Total 16 questions are there. 11 are essential. Principle 6 covers the environment. 7 covers the policies and engagement with public. 8 covers growth and equitable development. And 9th one is responsible value provision for its consumers. Principle 9 deals with the consumers. So section 9A, it talks about the general disclosures. It is divided into total 7 parts. First is detail of the listed entities. It asks the basic questions, what is the company's SIN number and everything. So these are total 1 to 15 questions are for the basic details of the listed entity. Second part covers products and services, question 16 and 17. Third is operations, 18, 19. 4 talk about the employees. And 5 talks about, how many holding subsidy associate companies are there for that listed entity. 6 talks about CSR details, whether CSR is applicable on the entity or not, and if it is and it also talks about the turnover, and it asks for the net worth of the entity. And the 7th disclosure, the 7th part covers transparency and disclosures. Wait a second. Transparency and disclosure, it covers question 25 and 26. Section B is management and process disclosures. It has total 12 questions. 1 to 6 deals with policy and management processes, and 7 to 12 deals with governance, leadership, and oversight. So 1 to 6 ask for assessment and approval of policies by the board, accessibility of policy and its web link, and translation of policies into procedures, extension of policy to the value chain partners, adoption of whether the entity has adopted national and international standards, what are its goals, commitments regarding this BRSR, and what is their their take on it. And principal, the governance and leadership oversights, the 7 to 12 questions cover director's ESG statement, uh, oversight authority details, board committee existence, whether there is any board committee, which is responsible for the ESG guide in the company, NGRBC review specifics, external assessment, and reasons. If there is any gap in the policies, then what are the reasons for the same? Then section C is divided into 9 principles. Principle 1 says that business should conduct and govern themselves with integrity and in a manner that is ethical, transparent, and accountable. It talks about, how do you manage your business? How do you govern your business? Principle 2 talks about business should provide goods and services in manner that is sustainable and safe. 3 covers the employees' well-being of entity as well as its value chain partners. 4 covers the interest of all its stakeholders. 5 covers human rights. So in today's webinar, I will be covering only the 5 principles. 6, 7, 8, 9, I will not be covering. 6 deals with the environment and 7 with the public and regulatory policy, which I already discussed in the previous slide. So this is the principle-wise summary. Principles 1 covers basically the bribery and corruption related policies. Here, what I'm thinking, instead of showing in the slide, can I take just 1 minute break? Sorry to interrupt. Actually, somebody is ringing the bell. I need to see.
Yes, ma'am, you can take.
Just 1 minute. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Just 1 minute. Sorry for the interruption. So I'm thinking to just directly take you to the Annexure 2, which was provided by SEBI for all the disclosures related to BRSR. Is my visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So so this is the BRSR format provided by the SEBI. It was provided in 2023, and it also provided the guidance note for BRSR. These are two very important documents. And then later on, I will be showing you practical example by showing Infosys BRSR report of last year. So in this format, under section A, general disclosures, like I said, it has 26 questions. So 1 to 15 deals with the general details of the entity, details of the listed entity, as you can see from here. And then second deals with products and services. So here you have to cover the products and services, 90% of the turnover. Then third part is operations. Fourth part deals with employees. Details of the employees. And then fifth part deals with the holding subsidiary and associate companies. Like you have to give details of the which companies are your subsidiary companies, associate companies, or joint ventures. And you have to also show that what is the percentage of shares you are holding in those entities. Then there is this CSR detailing, question 24, whether CSR is applicable, turnover and net worth. Then there is question seventh part, which covers transparency and disclosure compliances. It basically asks complaints and grievances on any of the principle 1 to 9 under the NGRBC. So in this, you have to show what are your stakeholders group from whom you are receiving the complaint, and a grievance redressal mechanism in the current year and previous year. So number of complaints received, number of complaints pending resolution at the end of the year, and what are the reasons for the those complaints are still pending. You have to give remark for the same. So here it has covered in its stakeholder as shareholders, employees and workers, customers, value chain partners, and any other. And 26 is very important, very which I really like. It talks about overview of the entity's material responsible business conduct issues. So here materiality means the things which can impact the financial position of the company or operations of the company, or vice versa. It can be a risk also, an opportunity also. So it asks that all the material issues you feel. Here you have to put the serial number, and then material issues identified. It can be anything. For example, like technology change. It can be a risk or it can be an opportunity also. So you have to put whether it's a risk or an opportunity. And then why you identified it as a risk or opportunity, you have to give rationale for the same. And then in case of it is a risk, then what are the approaches you are adapting to mitigate it. And then financial implications of the risk or opportunities. So here it is not asking for the qualitative one, it is asking for the quantitative one, it's asking for the qualitative one. You have to list the positive impact, negative impact. But for the past years, if you are disclosing about the past years, you can also give the quantitative disclosures, but you cannot do any forecast. You cannot put any forecasted numbers on the here on the same. And then there is section B, management and process disclosures. Like I said, policy and management processes, it covers question 1 to 6, and then governance and leadership oversight from 7 to 12. So it says if in question 1, like it says whether your entity's policy cover each principle and its core elements of NGRBC, yes or no. And if the answer is no, then you have to give in 12 reasons for the same. So it has given some options, and if it is not covered under these options, then there may be some other reason. Then you have to specify it here. And this is the most important section, section C. And I will be covering principle 1 to 5 here. This all I talked till now was just recap of the previous webinar of this series. So, like I said there in the PPT, that these principles covers two type of indicators. One is essential, another one is voluntary. The essential indicators are mandatory to be disclosed by all the entities, and yeah. And the voluntary leadership indicators are voluntary. If the entity wants to disclose it, they can disclose it, but they are not mandatory. In essential indicators, the very first question is percentage coverage by training and awareness program on any of the principle during the financial year. Like if you have conducted any awareness or training program of BRSR principles, then you have to show the number of, the percentage of those, attended it. So there can be board of directors, key managerial persons, employees, and workers. So total number of training and awareness programs held during the year, and then topics principle covered under the training and its impact. It can be principle 1 to 9 or any topic. And then percentage of persons in respective category covered by the awareness program. So the people covered divided by total. So you have to quote that percentage here. And the second question asks details of fines, penalties, punishments, awards, compounding fees, settlement amount paid in proceedings with regulatory laws enforcement agencies. Means if any, regulatory action was taken against the entity, especially for directors and KMP, key managerial persons. So you have to disclose it here. It asks for two disclosures: monetary fines, and there can be non-monetary things also like imprisonment and etc. So fines and penalties, and then under which authority those fines were imposed on the entity, and whether whether the entity preferred appeal for it or not. Suppose if there can be, they went to appellate tribunal for the for appeal, or they can go to session court or high court. So you have to here just quote whether you preferred appeal against that against that action. So penalty and fines, settlement, compounding fees, all these you have to disclose, and non-monetary imprisonment and punishment against the people who were involved in that particular offense. And then question 3 asks for the instances disclosed in question 2. So if you have appealed for the same or applied for a revision, then you have to give here the details of the case and then name of the regulatory or enforcement agency. In question 4, does the entity have any anti-corruption or anti-bribery policy? If yes, then then entity have to provide the web link for the same. In direct employees, workers against whom disciplinary action was taken by any law enforcement agency for the charges of bribery and corruption. It specifically covers the issues related to bribery and corruption. And so here it is asking for directors, KMP, employees and workers in the current year and in the previous year. Then 6 asks for details of complaints with regard to conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is a situation where the persons who has the power to somehow control the entity are trying to take undue advantage of that power and trying to put more benefit for themselves than for the company. Means they are trying to take advantage of their position, and they are taking their personal interest more than the interest of the company. So number of complaints received in relation to issues of conflict of interest of the directors, and number of complaints received in relation to issues of conflicts of interest of the KMP. So here we need to put the numbers and then remark, what was it all about. And this is for the current year and previous year both. Then provide details of any corrective action taken or underway on issues related to fines, penalties, actions taken by regulatory law enforcement agencies on cases of corruption and conflict of interest. So here we just told that yes, there were some actions, and here we have to disclose what corrective action the entity has taken against it. And then in 8th, it talks about the number of days of accounts payable in the current year and previous year both. So accounts payable, it has given formula also, accounts payable into 365 divided by cost of goods or services procured. So you have to put that number here. 9th is openness of business. This is basically, these two questions are covered by BRSR core also. Core. These are mandatory for the top 150 listed companies, and they also have to get it assured. Openness of business is, it covers that provides concentration of purchase and sale with trading houses, dealers, and related parties, along with loans and advances and investments with related parties. Suppose if you have, in terms of total percentage of your total purchase, how much percentage of purchase you did from the trading houses, and the number of trading houses where purchase are made from current year and previous year. Purchase from top 10 trading houses as percentage of total purchase from trading houses. Concentration of sales, it again asks for like, if you have done any sales through dealers or distributor, as percentage of total sale, you have to put the number here. And number of dealers, distributors to whom sales are made. Above, we will be giving the percentage of sales. And here the number of dealers and distributors. And again, from the top 10 distributors or dealers, of the total, we need to put the sales of total 10 dealers distributors as percentage of total sales to dealers and distributors. Means there may be 100 distributors, but top 10 can be 20. So 20 divided by, so sale from those 20 divided by the total, that percentage we need to put here. Share of RPT in, so it's related, it talks about the related party transactions disclosures, like purchase did with related parties, sales did with related parties, loans and advances, and investment. And then leadership disclosures of principle 1. These are not mandatory but voluntary. So first disclosure asks for awareness program conducted for value chain partners on any of the principle during the financial year. So in first question, we saw that it asked for awareness programs of the board and employees. Now it asks for, did you do that for your value chain partners also? Value chain partner, it says that value chain partners can be your upward value chain partners and downward value chain partners also. Upward value chain partners are the people with whom, from whom you are procuring the inputs. And downward value chain partners can be the people who are, helping the entity in getting the sales done. It can be the dealers, retailers, and from upward, it can be the people from your procuring the inputs, like your suppliers, the people who are, providing the components to the entity, and services also. So for those people also, did you conduct any awareness program regarding these principles? So total number of awareness program held, topics, principles covered under the training, it is the same format, but it is for the value chain partners. Percentage of value chain partners covered under the awareness program. And then second question, ask for, does the entity have process in place to avoid, manage conflict of interest involving members of the board? If yes, provide details of the same. So is there any process in the entity where, it can avoid the conflict of interest, where, people do not only care about their personal benefits, rather for the benefit of, they work for the overall benefit of the entity? So principle 1 is over. Now we are on principle 2. Principle 2 talks about business should provide goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. So again, this principle 2 also covers two indicators, essential and leadership. In essential indicator, the first question is percentage of research and development and capital expenditure investments in specific technologies to improve the environmental and social impact of product and processes to total R&D and CapEx investment made by the entity. So every entity does some research development, and it does a lot of capital expenditure also. So did it any during the year it must have given funds for some sustainable development. So we need to put that percentage here of the current year and previous year and details of improvement in environment and social impact. So you put some, the entity has put some fund for the same. So what were the improvement? I mean, what is the result? What was the result of it? So R&D percent, the amount is just so the amount spent on R&D, that percentage, and capex, any capital nature of expenditure. Question second talks about, does the entity have procedures in place for sustainable sourcing? Yes, no. If yes, then what is the percentage of input were sourced from sustainably? Third question asks for, describe the process in place to safely reclaim your product for using, recycling, and disposing at the end of life for plastic, e-waste, hazardous waste, and other waste. So it principle second, question 3 of essential indicators, it says that, do you have any process in your entity which which can safely reclaim the products for reusing, recycling, and disposing at the end of life? Like, we use a lot of products in our day-to-day life, and what we do after the we use the product, what happens with the packaging of the product? So do you have any process in the entity so that you can reclaim all those maybe packaging material or and all those things? So it can be plastic waste, e-waste, hazardous waste, or other waste. Do you let it with your consumers, or you recollect it? If you have any such process, please describe it here. And then fourth question asks for whether extended producer responsibility is applicable to the entity's activities. Yes, no. Extended producer responsibility is like to which extent the producer is taking responsibility for its production. It ends with after you just sell the product, or it continues till the product end its life. So from procuring the input till it is completely disposed of, are you taking that responsibility, and to which extent? Then yes, no. And if it is yes, then whether the waste collection plan is in line with the extended producer responsibility plan submitted to pollution control boards. If yes, provide steps taken to address the same. So it first asks for, do you have any EPR in the entity? If yes, then is it in line with with the plan you have submitted to the pollution control board? And if yes, then need to put the steps here in BRSR report under this question 4. So the principle 2 had these 4 essential questions. One was percentage of R&D and CapEx. Second was for the procedures for sustainable sourcing. And third one was for processes for safely reclaiming, for reusing, recycling, or disposing of the product after the end of its life. And fourth one was for extended producer responsibility. And now the leadership indicators, these are voluntary. And the very first question is, has the entity conducted life cycle perspective assessment for any of its product or for its services? If yes, provide details in the following format. So have you has the entity conducted any life cycle assessment of its products? If yes, then it has to prescribe it in the following format. So NIC code, name of the products and services, percentage of total turnover contributed, boundary for which the life cycle perspective assessment was conducted, whether conducted by independent external agency, yes or no, result communicated in public domain, yes or no. If yes, then need to provide the web link for the same. So again, the life cycle assessment also talks about the product from procurement of input till it's getting disposed of. So in the boundary here, the name of the product, then the percentage of total turnover contributed, and boundary. Boundary means to which extent the life cycle assessment was conducted. And is it conducted internally or from some external agency? And if you communicate the results to the public, then have to provide the web link for the same. Question 2 asks for, if there is any significant social or environmental concern or risk arising from production or disposal of your product services as identified in life cycle perspective assessment or through any other means, briefly describe the same along with action taken to mitigate the same. So the entity conducted the life cycle assessment of its products, and it found out that it has some risk or related to its production or disposal. Then it has to describe the following. It has to in this format to mitigate that risk: the name of the products or services, description of the risk or concerns, and what are the actions taken by the entity. Here we can take example of suppose some pharma product, right? So they the after the product got used, and it can still cause some harm after it gets disposed of. So it has to put the name of such products and describe what are the risks or concerns related to the same, and what are the actions taken by the company. So it can be like they collected that product after its use, and they disposed it of safely, and without um, getting any bad impact on the environment. So all these things need to be disclosed under this question. Question 3 talks about percentage of recycled or reused inputs material to total material used in production or for providing services. So here it's very simple, like indicate input materials and then recycle or reused input material to the total materials. Like every entity used some input material. So if the entity used any material which is getting recycled or reused, so need to put the details of the current year and previous year. In question 4, of the products and packaging reclaimed at the end of products, amount in metric tons, reused, recycled, safely disposed of as per the following format. So for the current year and previous year, it asks for if the entity has reclaimed after the life of the product, the it reused or recycled or disposed safely, plastics, packaging, e-waste, hazardous waste, and other waste. In question 5, it asks reclaimed products and their packaging materials for each product category as percentage of total percentage of product sold. It is here asking for the percentage of the packaging materials reclaimed. Indicate product category and reclaim products and their packaging material as percentage of total products sold in respective category. Suppose here they can say that some A type of product category, and they sold 100 units of it and only collected 101. So 10%, we can put that number here. The next one is principle 3. Principle 3 ask for the business should respect and promote the well-being of all employees, including those in the value chains. So it talks about the employees' well-being. Under essential indicators, the first question is details of measures for well-being of employees. Here, the percentage of employees covered by. So, every entity has a lot of employees, and nowadays, there are so many laws to protect the interest of employees and also the health and safety of the employees. So the BRSR also talks about the health and safety of the employees. Initially, these all details used to be for the internal purpose. Now, it is available in the public domain also. That what are the measures it has done for the well-being of employees, like health and percentage of employees covered by health insurance, accident insurance, maternity benefit, paternity benefit, day care facilities. So it for the permanent employees and other than permanent employees, male, female, and total. So as compared to the total number of your employees, you have to put here the total number of male employees, female employees, the permanent one, and what are covered for the health insurance number we have to put here, and the percentage of the same. Suppose there are 100 male total and health insurance only 50 good. So we will put here 50%. And for female also, suppose the total number is 100 and health insurance is covered only for 5. So we can say 5%. Similarly, for accident insurance, maternity benefits, paternity benefits, and day care facilities. Similarly, for other than permanent employees. Part B asks for details of measures for the well-being of workers. First one covers employees and second one covers for the worker. And details are same. It asks for health insurance, accident insurance, maternity benefit, paternity benefit, and daycare facility. Total 5 measures. For permanent workers and other than permanent workers, here the definition of employee and worker is defined as per Industrial Relations Code 2020. So under this question, this C part covers spending on measures towards well-being of employees and workers, including permanent and other than permanent. Other than permanent can contain contractors also who are not on the payroll of the company. In the following format, cost incurred on well-being measure as percentage of total revenue of the company. So current year's percentage and previous year percentage. This this number will be total of all these health, accident, on all these benefits for the employees, divide by the revenue figure into 100. That percentage will come, and we have to put it for the current year as well as previous year. Now the second question asks details of retirement benefit for the current year and previous year. Number of employees covered as percentage of total employees. Here we need to put only the percentage for PF, gratuity, ES, and any other benefit. So we have to specify it here what kind of benefit we are providing to the employees for the retirement specifically. employees, workers deducted and deposited with the authority, yes or no. Suppose they deducted but did not deposit it, then they will say no. And these three disclosures for the current year and similarly for the previous year. Third question asks for accessibility of workplace. Are the premises, offices of the entity accessible to differently abled employees and workers as per the requirement of the Rights and Persons with Disability Act 2016? If not, whether any step was taken, are being taken by the entity. So it says that, I think this, yeah, in 2016, when the government passed this law, right for persons with disabilities, we have seen that a lot of improvement is happening. People are, hiring more differently abled people, and even the government facilities, they are trying to be as friendly as possible for the differently abled people. So this principle is also asking for their benefit. Are these premises accessible to these kind of employees? If yes, then it's good. If not, then are you taking any action to improve it? And then that particular disclosure we have to give under this question. Then four, ask for, does the entity have an equal opportunity policy as per the Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016? If so, provide web link of the same. So do you provide equal opportunity to the differently abled people? Do you have any policy in place? If yes, then please provide the web link for the policy. Question 5 asks for return to work and retention rates of permanent employees and workers that took parental leave. So we have practically seen that a lot of people go for parental leaves, and specifically females, they either don't come back to work, or if they come back to work after some time they resign. There can be n number of reasons, but still it can give us some logic. Maybe the organization is not so supportive for the new parents. So it asks for the permanent employees and permanent workers only, the male and female. So the rate of the total people went for this parental leave, and they returned to work, that percentage, and what was their retention rate? Did they leave after coming back from that leave? So for the permanent employees and permanent workers, we have to disclose it here. And sixth question asks for, if there is a mechanism available to receive and redress grievance for the following category of employees and workers. If yes, give details of the mechanism in brief. So, in every organization, there are every employee face some kind of issue, some kind of problem. So is there any mechanism, where they can complain about it and, their problems can be solved? Yes or no? And if yes, then give detail for the mechanism. So mechanism should be for everyone, permanent workers, other than permanent workers, permanent employees, other than permanent employees. Then seventh question asks for membership of employees and workers in association or unions recognized by listed entities. So, a lot of strikes happens because workers have their associations, and if any problem happens, they all come together and they strike. So that's why BRSR SEBI also recognized the importance of these unions and associations. So here it is asking for the details of the if your employees and workers having such kind of membership in these unions or associations. So total permanent employees, male, female, total permanent workers, it asks for uh, employees and workers, male, female, further divided into male, female. Total employees, workers in respective category, number of employees, workers in respective category who are part of the association or union, and then percentage of the same. So here, total workers or employees in that particular category, and the people who are having are associated with these organizations, that number, and we need to calculate the percentage. This disclosure we need to give for the current year as well as the previous year. And then next questions ask for details of training given to employees and workers. On health and safety, on skill upgradation. A few days back, I was reading some case study about Bhopal gas tragedy, and it said that for saving cost in that factory, in that site, uh, their safety training was required for 6 months, and to save the cost they cut it down to only 15 days. And if they were not even properly trained how to deal if any safety incident happen in the organization, and that is why they couldn't deal with when the leakage happened that time. So therefore safety health and safety training is very important in any kind of organization. And we can see that this fire drills, fire mock drills and all happens, so that just in case fire happens, actually people should know what they have to do at that point of time. So all those safety trainings are very important. So BRSR is asking, have you conducted any training on health and safety, and then skill upgradation for the employees, so that they can benefit from that skill upgradation program, and they can earn more revenue from the same and can be more skilled. So here we have to provide details for the employees and workers, again bifurcated into male and female, for the current year as well as for the previous year. Then question 9 asks for detail of performance and career development reviews of employees and workers for the current year and for previous year. Performance and career development reviews of the employees and workers we need to put here. For the employees and workers, again bifurcated into male, female for the current year and the previous year both. 10th cover the health and safety management system. It's again it is asking in detail. There it asks the number of or the percentage of people who are covered under for the training, and safety management system in the organization, whether an occupational health and safety management system has been implemented by the entity, yes or no. If yes, the coverage. If yes, the coverage such system. So whether there is such system, if yes, then we have to specify it. What are the process used to identify work-related hazards and assess risk on a routine and non-routine basis by the entity? What are the processes which say that are hazardous and contain some risk? Whether you have processes for workers to report the work-related hazards or remove themselves from such risk. Is there any process, if there is any process which has hazards? So people workers can remove themselves so that no risk can happen with them. And do the employees, workers of the entity have access to non-occupational medical and healthcare services? It asks for non-occupational, means the general medical and healthcare services not related to the employment. We have to answer here in yes or no. Then question 11 asks for detail of safety in the following format. Lost time injury frequency rate. It is a measurement which gives us an idea lost time injury frequency rate it gives an idea, that employees are under safe conditions or not. Here, in this formula, the total injury frequency happened divided by total actual work hours work multiply by 1 million. This rate will come, and for the current year and previous year, we have to disclose it for the employees and for the workers. Total recordable work-related injuries, if any injury happened during the work to the employees or workers, we need to disclose it here. Number of fatalities, if any incident happened and due to that it caused some fatality in the organization, whether related to employee or workers, we need to disclose for the current year and previous year. And high consequence work-related injury or ill health means some incident happened in the entity. It doesn't caused fatality, but it caused very severe injury. Then those incidents also we need to disclose it here. So in these employees and workers, it also includes the contract workforce. Question 12 asks for describe the measures taken by the entity to ensure a safe and healthy workplace. What are the measures entity has taken to make sure that the workplace is safe and healthy for the workers and employees? 13 ask for number of complaints of the following made by the employees and workers. So in the current year, the workers or employees filed any complaint related to working conditions, health and safety. And if it is, so those are resolved or still pending at the end of the year. And if are pending, whatever the reasons for the same, we need to give the remark. The 14 assessment of the year, assessment for the year. So health and safety practices, working conditions, percentage of your plants and offices that were accessed by entity or statutory authority or third parties. So did any assessment happen in the organizations for health and safety practices or the related to working conditions, whether it is taken by entity internally or it was guided by some statutory authority or it is taken by some third party? We need to disclose it here. And it is percentage of plants. Suppose there are 5 plant and only one plant conducted such assessment, then the rate will be like 20%. Percentage. Question 15 asks for provide details of any corrective action taken or underway to address safety related incident or significant risk concerns arising from assessment of health and safety practices and working conditions. So if what are the corrective actions taken by the entity regarding health and safety incidences, that disclosure we need to make under this question. Then leadership indicators. Principle 3 is quite big, so that's why it's taking a bit more time. Leadership indicator. First question: does the entity extend any life insurance or any compensatory package in the event of death of employee or workers? So any worker or employee died in the organization, then did they extend life insurance or any compensatory package for the same? Yes or no? We need to give separate disclosure for the employee and workers. We need to put just yes or no and no further details it is asking under this particular question. Number 2 is provide the measures undertaken by entity to ensure the statutory dues have been deducted and deposited by the value chain partners. So this is voluntary and it asks for not like the principal name itself said the taking care of the employees as well as the value chain partners employees. So in this question it asks for that your value chain partners, you have to ensure that they collected their statutory dues and suppose the PF, ESI, all those, and did they deposit it properly with the government. Third, ask for provide the number of employees, workers having suffered high consequence work related injury, ill health, fatality. Like it in the question 14, it said, who have been are rehabilitated and placed in suitable employment, or whose family member have placed in suitable employment. Like something happened to uh, some employee or worker. So what uh, corrective action did you take? How did you took care of the that employee or the family members of that employee? So total number of affected employees workers in current year and previous year, and then number of employees workers that are rehabilitated and placed in suitable employment, or whose family members have been placed in suitable employment. Like if something happens to one employee, maybe that person is so injured that that person is not able to work anymore. And what about the family members of that person? Because they were dependent upon that person. So how did you help that particular person or the family to still continue with their life? Does the entity provide transition assistance program to facilitate continued employment and the management of career endings resulting from retirement or termination of employees? What happens after your employee got terminated or retires? Did you provide any transition assistance to them? Yes or no? Just need to disclose that. In fifth principle, details of the assessment of value chain partners. Here, the same question it is asking, but asking for the value chain partners like health and safety practices, working conditions, percentage of value chain partners by value of value business done with such partners that were assessed. Um, so here we need to, for an example, like value chain partners, percentage of value chain partners by value of business done with such partners that were assessed. So we need to just put the percentage. Suppose there were 5 value chain partners and we did business lakh rupees, and total business was with our 10 lakh. So 1 lakh divided by 10 lakh, 10%. That rate we need to disclose here. In sixth question, provide details of any corrective action taken or underway to address significant risk concerns arising from assessment of health and safety practice and working conditions of value chain partners. So, what are the corrective actions taken by the value chain partners if something significant happened? So, here we concluded principle 3, now principle 4. Principle 4 talks about business should respect the interest and be responsive to all its stakeholders. Principle 4 takes care of the interests of the stakeholders. In the essential indicator, very first question asks for describe the process for identifying key stakeholders group of the entity. So there can be a number of stakeholders, and how do you identify them? What is the process for identifying them? That we need to disclose here. Stakeholders are basically the people who are, getting affected from the operations of the organization, and also the people who are affecting the organizations. Like it's vice versa. Second is list stakeholder groups identified as key for your entity and the frequency of engagement with each stakeholder group. Stakeholder group, it can be customers, investors, community, and whether identified as vulnerable and marginalized group, yes or no. Channel of communication, how do you communicate with your stakeholders? Through email, SMS, newspaper, pamphlets. We need to disclose it under this. Frequency of engagement, annually, half yearly, quarterly. How do you engage with those stakeholders? Purpose and scope of including key topics and concerns raised during engagement. So why were you engaging with them? What was the topic for such engagement? That kind of disclosure we need to put, in this table or in this format. So these two were the essential disclosures. And now under leadership indicators, it asks for provide the process for consultation between stakeholders and board on economic, environmental, and social topics. Or if consultation is delegated, how is feedback from such consultation provided by the board? So is there any consultation happening between the stakeholder and the board? And if it is delegated, means it is happening through some third party or something. So how do the board take the feedback from such consultations? Second second question asks for whether stakeholder consultation is used to support the identification and management of environmental social topics. Yes or no? I mean, these consultation were identified to support the management of environmental and social topics. Just yes and no. And if so, provide details of instances as to how the input received from stakeholders on these topics were incorporated into policies and activities of the entity. So after this consultation, the inputs you took from that consultation, how did you use those inputs into your policies and activities so that you can improve the environmental and social impact in the organization? That disclosure we need to make under this particular question. In question 3, provide details of instance of engagement with an action taken to address the concerns of vulnerable, marginalized stakeholder group. The groups which is vulnerable. Suppose if there is any there is some plant, and the plant is releasing the plant is releasing suppose toxic gas around it, or toxic it is polluting the air around it, and also it is disposing of the water which is reaching to the community, and it is impacting their health. Like few days back, I saw one more video. Like there is a place called Bagpat in UP, and that documentary covered how everybody in that area, everybody getting impacted from the sugar mills are there in that area. Like every at least one member in the family is getting cancer because of the toxic uh, waste it is releasing in form of water or air, and basically water. So it has contaminated the water around that area, and it is causing n number of health issues for those people. So those are the marginalized or vulnerable stakeholders, that community. So organization need to identify all those kind of stakeholder groups which are getting impacted the most from the organization's functions, and that detail, like how do we address their concerns, will be covered under this particular question. Now, principle 5, business should respect and promote human rights. Principle 5 talks about the human rights. Under essential indicators, the very first question is employees and workers who have been provided training on human rights issues and policies of the entity in the following format. So there are employees and workers in the organization, and you must have conducted some human right training. So we need to put just that percentage here, like permanent employees other than permanent. Similarly for workers, permanent other than permanent, total number of employees, workers covered under human right trainings, and the percentage for the current year and for the previous year. And Second question is asked for details of minimum wages paid to employees and workers in the following format. We all know that every state has its own minimum wages concept, minimum wages regulations, and every employer need to provide at least that particular minimum wage to to their employees or workers. So here in this disclosure, it asks for the current year and previous year, permanent, other than permanent, for employees and workers, and then further bifurcated into male and female. Total. So it is categorized like equal to minimum wage. It didn't say less than minimum wage, because that is not allowed. You cannot pay less than the minimum wage as prescribed by the state regulations. So it asks for equal or minimum or more than that, more than the minimum wage. So total and percentage, we need to number and percentage. And under third question, details of remuneration, salary, wages, median remuneration wages. So here it asks for the wages, for board of directors, KMPs, employees and workers. So need to put the number here, and again male, female, and we need to put only median remuneration, salary, wages for respective category. It's the average for all directors, key managerial persons, employees. From this disclosure, we can know what is the gap between the wages or salaries paid to the to the boards, to the KMPs or employees or workers, and again male, female. Subpart of this question is gross wages paid to females as percentage of total wages paid by the entity in the following format. For the current year, previous year, we need to put the percentage here. Gross wages paid to the females as percentage of total wages. It's simple. So fourth questions ask, do you have a focal point responsible for addressing human rights impacts or issues caused or controlled by the business? So focal point can be an individual or a committee which is responsible for handling all the human rights related issues in the organization. So do you have those that committee or individual? Yes or no? We just need to answer in yes or no. In next disclosure, it asks for describe the internal mechanism in place to redress grievances related to human rights issues. If there are any complaints related to human rights issues, so how people can report them, and how their complaints will be redressed? Do you have any mechanism for that? So just need to describe it under this particular question. So in sixth question is asked for number of complaints on the following made by the employees and workers. So in the current year and previous year, were there any complaint related to sexual harassment, discrimination at workplace, child labor, forced labor, involuntary labor, other than and any other issues related to human rights? So number of complaints filed during the year, complaints still pending at the end of the year, and what were the reasons, remark on the reason for such complaints pending. We need to give remark for the current year and previous year. Under next question, complaints filed under the sexual harassment of women at workplace in the following format. Total complaints reported under the sexual harassment on of the women at the workplace. So under the POSH Act, we need to put the number of complaints number in for the current year and previous year, and complaint as percentage of total workers or female employees or workers, and in which complaints on POSH upheld. This question is also covered in BRSR code. I mean, it is mandatory for top 150 companies to answer, and they have to also get it assured. those top 150 companies. Like complaints upheld means the complaints which are, found guilty, means which were found that yes, the cases of those complaints were genuine, and the people found guilty. So those we need to put here, those numbers. And the eighth question is a mechanism to prevent adverse consequence to the complaint in discrimination and harassment cases. And what is the mechanism to prevent all these cases of harassment and discrimination in the organization? Do human rights requirement form part of your business agreements and contracts? Like while making your agreements and contracts, do you give importance to the human rights requirements? Yes or no? Then 10th question asks for assessment for the year. Percentage of your plants and offices that were assessed by entity or statutory authority or third party, again same. So it asks, do you have any child labor there? For child labor, forced involuntary labor, sexual harassment, discrimination, wages, and any other issue. So did you did any assessment for your plants? So how many plants were covered? And you need to put that percentage. Suppose there are 100 plants, only 10 plants were assessed for these particular things. So it will be 10%. Next essential question is provide details of any corrective action taken or underway to address significant risk concerns arising from the assessment of question 10 above. So, in this case, you assessed, all these things. Maybe there is something, some risk you identified. Then what are the corrective actions you are taking for the same? We need to disclose under this question. There are some questions. Leadership. In leadership indicators, first question is details of a business process being modified, introduced as a result of addressing human rights grievance. So, we need to give the business processes, to address the human. There were complaints, and we found there is some issue. And by what changes did you make to your processes to address that issue? Then the detail we need to put under this particular disclosure. And second, details of the scope and coverage of any human rights due diligence conducted. So any human right due diligence conducted in the organization? Yes. Then scope and coverage of the same, we need to disclose it here. Under third question, is the premise office of the entity accessible to the differently abled visitor as per? So you will see that similar question in principle 3 also. Here the difference is that covered only the employees or workers. Here it is asking for the visitors. Like, is your premise or office is accessible to the differently abled visitors? We need to disclose it here. That. And fourth question, details on assessment of value chain partners. Again, these disclosures we made for ourselves, for our own entity, but now you should disclose it for the value chain partners also. And it is leadership, it is not mandatory. The fifth is provide details of any corrective action taken or underway to address. So, you did assessment for the above question and you found some issue, and then how are you taking corrective actions for the same? That we need to disclose it here. These 5 questions were leadership indicators, voluntary. And I have covered all the 5 principles. Now, actually, I have 20 minutes. I wanted to, discuss one report of Infosys. Just wanted to show how, practically they're reporting all these things. So I'll discuss it only 5 minutes because we are already late. We're running late. So Then I will be taking questions. So yeah, this is the BRSR report of Infosys for the last year. And here you see understanding general disclosures. This is the part 1 and it has 15 disclosures. And then this part 2, products and services. 13 disclosures. And then part 2, 14. Details of business activities accounting 90% of the turnover. Then operations, market served by the entity, details about the employees, permanent employees, then permanent employees, differently abled employees, then holding subsidiary and associate. They said this for that maybe the number was so high, so they put just an exit. And one more thing, if entities doing similar disclosures under some other format, suppose they are already doing sustainability disclosures under GRI, then you don't have to report it repeat the same in BRSR also. You just have to quote that this particular thing you will find in that particular report as part of annual report. Then details of CSR, transparency and disclosure compliance, complaints, grievance, it has given. And then question 24, which was like I was saying, very important. These are the material issues they identified, and whether they considered it risk or opportunity, and then what was the reason for considering it as a risk or opportunity, and what is your approach to mitigate it or adapt it if it is an opportunity, and what are the financial implication of the same, positive or negative info. Then section B, management and process disclosure. And then this is principle, section C, principle 1, business should conduct and govern themselves with integrity and in manner that is ethical, transparent, and accountable. Here you can see that there is principle. Under principle 1, there is this question, percentage covered by training and awareness program or any of principles in the financial area for board of directors, KMPs, and employees. So they said that we did this climate change, environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and they covered 100% people under these programs. These are the leadership indicators. I think you can go through with this report on your own because we are running short of time. So I think we can take up questions now. Can see a few questions in the chat. What is auditor's responsibility in respect of this report prepared by management? Does auditor have to review? Okay, so first question is, what is auditor responsibility in respect of the report prepared by management? Does auditor have to review? Well, maybe I'm considering that you are asking in terms of the financial auditor. And again, I'm getting this notification that my internet connection is unstable. Please confirm, sir, that it's going well. There is no issue.
Ma'am, you can continue.
Okay. Okay, so I'm considering that you are asking for the financial auditor. Then financial auditor, so responsibilities are different. Are not required to be concerned about what entity is disclosing in their BRSR. But if you are auditor or assurance provider for BRSR, then definitely you are responsible for the disclosures made in the BRSR by the management of the entity. Okay. In question number 9 of principle 1, please explain how to compute percentage who are dealers and trading houses. Service. Question 9, principle 1. For service-based companies in this context, what is the logic of covering it? Okay. So dealers or trading houses are the organization or the people or the individuals who are help the organization to ultimately sell their products, or they are the ones who buy in or collects the output from the organization in bulk, and then they deliver it to the end consumers. So by covering it means it just giving you an idea, uh, you know uh, whether your sales are direct or you are conducting through these dealers. If something happens with these dealers, you're so much depend on those dealers for your sales. It gives you some idea. So the logic behind this is, I think, this only. And how to calculate the percentage is it asks for both, for purchase and for sales both. So purchase from trading houses as percentage of total purchase. So suppose 80% you are doing purchase through these trading houses, and 20% you are doing directly. So that percentage will be 80% here. And the second question is, what is the future roadmap of applicability of BRSR to remaining listed to? Okay, very interesting question. So it says, what is the future roadmap of applicability of BRSR to remaining listed companies other than top 1000 and then unlisted companies? Here, right now, it is mandatory only on top 1000 listed companies. Voluntarily, any company can, take it up. And definitely, it has some advantages People are giving importance to sustainability report also, and I believe that this number will definitely increase in future. And and we can see that SEBI has already said that you have to also comply with this 75% of your value chain partners also. And value chain partners, direct, indirect, upward, downward. So we can see already that the scope is very wide. Although there is a consultation paper which recently came up from SEBI, and they may give some relaxations, but it's not sure. So I think the future is bright for BRSR or sustainability report. Next question is, please explain reporting on value chain relationship, purpose, objective of such information, how to calculate the monetary value. Okay. So purpose is that, sustainability, any business cannot run by themselves. They are involved with a lot of other businesses. So it's not about getting sustainable only, yourself, because you are doing a lot of subcontracting also. So those businesses which are connected, to your business should also be sustainable. That is the reason for, covering value chain partners also, that they should also be sustainable. Does the auditor have to consider, evaluate adverse information contained in the BRSR report while making his own opinion on the financial statement being reviewed by him in this connection? Please consider integration regulations regarding auditor's responsibility for knowledge compliance with laws. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but I think the financial auditor's responsibilities are different, and BRSR responsibilities are different. Only thing which auditor, okay, in terms of compliance, we can say if it is under top 1000 listed company, and then it have to comply with this SEBI regulations, and non-compliance will result into the consequences of SEBI, from the SEBI. Therefore, and if what they have disclosed in their BRSR, I think it is not in the financial auditor's scope. But I might be wrong. I don't know. This is what I feel. Can you share some examples of successful life cycle sustainability assessment and their impact on business practices? Okay, so in terms of suppose we say some product. Let's take an example of any product. Say a chips packet we use, right? So its life cycle starts from the day when it procures all the inputs for making those chips. So it starts from procuring potatoes from the farmers, and then it ends with that chips got eaten by the consumer, and then the plastic wrapper. So life cycle assessment can show that how your product got born and how it ended, and does it ended sustainably. Like we eat chips and then we throw it here and there, and then it just ends into landfill and will be there for millions of the years. So how can we make it more sustainable? Entities should take responsibility, and I think I heard it or I saw some documentary that Germany do the same, where organizations are responsible for collecting their packaging waste, and then it's their headache. The organizations need to deal with their packaging materials. Either they're going to reuse it or recycle it or dispose it of sustainably. It's their headache. So similarly, if in India also they collect those wrappers, then we will not see polythene packaging here and there on every side of the road. And today also I was reading, because a lot of rain started happening, and government is giving this SMS to people that don't throw these plastic packagings here and there, because it chokes the sewage system and it causes flooding. So what if those organizations, take that responsibility and collect those wrappers and dispose it of in a sustainable manner? So it will have definitely a positive impact. Next question is, okay, I think uh, there are no more questions.
Thank you, ma'am. For Principle 125. And we are privileged to have you in this seminar, because how you explain each and every aspect in detail is very important. And I think our viewers will be able to just get the in-depth knowledge of all these things. And in future, we also would like to have you as a speaker in our future programs. So thank you very much, ma'am, for your today's time. And now we would like to request Pankaj Jadodia ji to just deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So, after fruitful session, I thank everyone who helped make this event a success. Special thanks to CA Sripriya Kumar, Chairperson SRSB, and CA Dr. Anuj Goyal, Sir, Vice Chairman SRSB, CA Moni Bajaj, ma'am, our learned speaker, and Secretariat of. First, a big thanks to our speaker for sharing their knowledge about BRSR framework. Your passion for sustainability has made our discussion rich and inspired us to take action. I would also like to thank all of you who had participated by asking question and answers and sharing your thoughts. Your involvement made our conversation lively and meaningful. A special thanks to the organizing team and support staff for the hard work behind the scenes. Lastly, I would like to personally thank the chairperson and the vice chairman of the committee for leading us in putting this webinar together. That skill and we have learned in mind as we work towards a more sustainable and fair future. Together, we can make a real difference. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And all the audience, we request you to please also join us in the third series of BRSR, in which we are covering the remaining principles. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.